Luke walks into Jabba's palace in all black, like he just unlocked his final form. Han is still cracking jokes while half blind. Leia takes out a crime lord with the same chains that were supposed to hold her down. And somehow Ewoks are tripping over logs and still managing to destroy the most advanced army in the galaxy. It's absurd, but it works. And that's the thing. Jedi was weird and messy and sometimes goofy, but it also had this raw confidence. It was a movie that said, yeah, we are going to wrap up the biggest saga in pop culture, and we're going to do it with a giant space slug, a forest moon, and a second Death Star. And for some reason it felt right. It felt final. Like the curtain was coming down and everyone in the theatre knew it. But here's where it gets awkward, because everything that came after Jedi has been like watching someone try to extend a magic trick long after the rabbit has hopped off stage. The prequels tried to give us origin stories but got stuck in galactic committee hearings. The sequels gave us Rey and Kylo staring dramatically at each other for 3 movies while Palpatine returned from the grave like a bad soap opera villain. And suddenly Jedi looks less like just an ending and more like the last time the story truly mattered. And I know some people will say, no, Star Wars is about expanding the galaxy. It's about telling new stories and keeping the universe alive. Sure, but let's be honest. When you bring back Palpatine with no explanation and turn Luke Skywalker into a bitter hermit who drinks green alien milk, that's not expanding the story. That's shrinking it into a parody of itself. It makes the victories of Jedi feel empty, like everything the characters fought for got erased in the name of one more trilogy. It's kind of tragic, but also hilarious in that corporate way. Because you can almost see the boardroom meetings where someone says, what if we just do another Death Star but bigger this time? And everyone claps like it's the most original idea ever. Meanwhile, the very movie they are trying to outdo had a puppet Yoda, a Muppet band in Jabba's palace, and Ewoks singing around a campfire. And somehow Return of the Jedi still feels more real, more authentic, and way more final than anything that followed. In this video, we're going to dig into why Return of the Jedi was the last real Star Wars movie, why it worked as a true finale, why everything that came after only proved how perfect its ending really was. What if I told you that Return of the Jedi wasn't just the final chapter of the original trilogy, but the last time Star Wars truly felt complete? That sounds like a dramatic claim, but think about it. You had Luke Skywalker finally stepping into the role of a Jedi Knight, no longer the farm boy whining about power converters, but a calm, confident figure, walking into Jabba's palace in all black like he owned the place. You had the rescue of Han Solo, the last big hurrah of the original trio working together. Luke facing down the rancor, Leia strangling Jabba with the very chains that bound her, and Han still managing to be the funniest guy in the room while half blind. It had danger, humour, teamwork, and payoff for everything that had been set up since A New Hope. Even the battle over Endor raised questions that kept audiences glued to the screen. Would the rebels really be able to destroy another Death Star, or was this going to be the end of their fight? And why was Palpatine so confident, almost smug, as if everything was falling exactly into place? That sense of mystery made the movie feel bigger than itself. And of course, there was the emotional storm between Luke and Vader. Would the son fall to the dark side, or would the father find his way back to the light? It was the kind of conflict that felt ancient, mythological, like something ripped from old legends and dropped into space opera. So when you look at it through that lens, it's no wonder people walked out of theatres in 1983 feeling like they had seen the definitive end to the story. The sense of curiosity was satisfied, yet it also left the audience asking deeper questions about what it all really meant. Now here's where the anger kicks in. Because everything that came after Return of the Jedi tried to build on that foundation, but somehow missed the point entirely. The prequels gave us flashy lightsaber duels and galactic politics, but they forgot the human core that made Jedi versus Sith feel meaningful in the first place. Think about it. Did you ever feel the same gut punch watching Anakin and Obi-Wan argue about democracy as you did when Vader pleaded with Luke to join him? Instead of intimacy and raw stakes, we got long Senate debates that felt like C-SPAN in space. Jar Jar Binks being promoted to representative didn't exactly scream cinematic magic. Then you look at the sequels, And it gets worse. How did we go from the carefully constructed redemption of Anakin Skywalker to Palpatine just popping back up like a Saturday morning cartoon villain? And Rey, Finn and Poe had the potential to be the new trio, but Disney was too busy playing hot potato with directors to actually make them feel like a family. It's frustrating because Return of the Jedi already gave us closure. The Republic was restored, the Emperor was dead, the prophecy fulfilled. Yet instead of building new myths, everything after tried to recycle old ones like a bad cover band, hoping nostalgia would do the heavy lifting. But let's be honest, it's also just sad when you think about it. Return of the Jedi ended with Anakin's redemption, Luke proving himself, and the galaxy celebrating freedom under fireworks and Ewok drums. That was the perfect curtain call. Yet instead of letting it be the finale, Star Wars kept dragging the story back onto the stage. Look at what happened to Han Solo in The Force Awakens. The man who risked everything for the rebellion is reduced to a washed-up smuggler who abandoned his family. Leia, once the hopeful leader of a new republic, is left as a general in yet another hopeless war. Even Luke, the ultimate optimist, became a bitter hermit who nearly killed his nephew in a moment of weakness. It's painful to see the characters you loved get rewritten to shadows of themselves. The victories of Endor suddenly feel hollow, as if the fight meant nothing because evil always comes back, heroes always fail, and the cycle never really ends. That's not tragic in a mythological sense, it's depressing in a storytelling sense. The sorrow also extends to the audience. Entire generations grew up believing Star Wars was a tale of hope, redemption, and the triumph of light over darkness. Then the newer films told those same fans that none of it mattered, that their heroes were frauds, and that the galaxy never truly changed. And maybe that's the deepest wound of all. Return of the Jedi gave us closure, but the sorrow comes from watching that closure undone, as if the story we celebrated was erased in favour of endless sequels and spin-offs that could never match its emotional weight. Yet despite all that, when you watch Return of the Jedi today, there's still this undeniable sense of awe that hits you. The space battle alone is one of the most ambitious ever filmed, with dozens of ships weaving in and out as the camera moves like it's part of the fight itself. The practical effects still hold up decades later, which is more than you can say for a lot of early CGI. The duel between Luke and Vader remains one of the most powerful moments in cinema. The green blade clashing against red, Palpatine laughing in the background, and the camera cutting to Vader's heavy breathing as his son refuses to strike the killing blow. It's operatic, almost Shakespearean but wrapped in the trappings of science fiction. Even the smaller moments inspire awe. Luke building his own lightsaber, the Emperor taunting him with visions of his friends dying, Vader finally turning on his master in a moment of pure defiance. Those images burn into your memory and refuse to fade. And say what you will about the Ewoks, but the idea of primitive fighters taking down the most advanced military machine in the galaxy is the kind of mythic reversal that makes Star Wars timeless. It's David versus Goliath dressed up in fur costumes, and somehow it works. So when you strip away the years of debate and disappointment, Return of the Jedi still stands as a breathtaking achievement. A movie that balanced intimacy with spectacle, myth with fun, and closure with wonder in a way that left audiences awestruck. The funny thing is, Return of the Jedi still leaves you with hope every time you watch it. Hope that evil can be defeated, that people can change, that even the darkest soul can find its way back to the light. When Vader throws Palpatine down that shaft, it's more than a victory for Luke. It's proof that redemption is always possible. That message is carried for decades. People still cosplay Luke in black robes, still tear up when they hear Yub Nub or Victory Celebration. Still quote, "I am a Jedi like my father before me." Because those words resonate beyond the movie, they resonate in life. And there is hope even in the way Star Wars has stumbled since then. Because fans haven't stopped loving it, criticising it, or debating it. The passion remains alive, and that means the door is always open for new creators to rediscover what made the saga powerful in the first place. Shows like The Mandalorian or Andor prove there are still sparks of greatness when Star Wars remembers character and storytelling over spectacle and fan service. They're not Return of the Jedi, but they carry flickers of the same DNA that made the saga special. So yes, hope lingers. Hope that one day Star Wars might once again feel as authentic, as final, and as emotionally resonant as that victory on Endor. Hope that the magic can return, even if it's never quite the same. But at the end of the day, the tragedy is that Return of the Jedi already gave us the ending we needed. Everything after has been an attempt to recapture lightning in a bottle, and you can't bottle lightning twice. That's why the saga has struggled for decades, because it already reached its natural conclusion in 1983. It's tragic because instead of moving forward into bold new stories, the franchise kept looping back into the same conflicts. More Death Stars, more Palpatine, more fallen Jedi. It's like watching someone refuse to let go of the past, dragging the same corpse back on stage and pretending it's still alive. But resolution comes in recognizing that Return of the Jedi stands untouched no matter what came after. You can still watch it today and feel the finality, the redemption, the celebration. That power is unbroken, even if later films tried to rewrite it. And maybe that's the lesson. Star Wars doesn't need endless sequels or reboots to matter. Sometimes the truest resolution is to let a story end when it has said everything it needed to say. So when I say Return of the Jedi was the last real Star Wars movie, it isn't nostalgia talking. It's the recognition that the saga ended with dignity, and everything since has only proven just how perfect that ending really was.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.